Apple's QuickTime VR is an award-winning software technology that enables developers to create an entirely new class of multimedia products. With some practice, it is easy to create immersive experiences unlike anything seen before. QuickTime VR expands the conventional boundaries of photography and brings new opportunities to still photographers. This video explores the techniques and guidelines for planning and photographing QuickTime VR panoramas. The two other learning tools that are provided are your manual and the company store CD-ROM. You may wish to explore the CD-ROM before viewing this video to see a demonstration of QuickTime VR's features. Even if you are an experienced photographer, you should follow the procedures demonstrated here when first shooting panoramas. We encourage you to practice using these new techniques under a variety of shooting conditions prior to production.
This video has 3 sections. In Section 1, we will cover pre-production planning. In Section 2, photography equipment is detailed, including camera and tripod specifications and equipment setup. And in Section 3, we will prepare for and shoot a panorama. The complexity of your pre-production planning is influenced by how many panoramic nodes you will shoot and the location you are shooting. These floor plans illustrate the spectrum of QuickTime VR scenes, from simple to complex. Let's first define a node. A node is the physical spot where a panorama is taken, as well as a reference location in a virtual reality scene. The 3 main variables that you can control within a scene are the number of nodes, the placement of the nodes, and the distance between the nodes. Each scene is defined by how many panoramas are contained in the scene. In a single node scene, the user can pan left, right, up and down, zoom in and out, and click on hotspots. But the user is confined to viewing the entire scene from a single position. In a sparse multi-node scene, the user has all of the navigational capabilities, but can also explore a scene by jumping between a few nodes. In a continuous multi-node scene, the user has greater freedom of movement in the scene, and the close proximity of each node gives the user a smoother sense of movement in a scene. Each type of scene will provide a different type of user experience, each appropriate for different applications. The Apple Company Store is the QuickTime VR scene illustrated in the manual, the Company Store CD-ROM, and in this video. The Company Store example is intended to provide some insight into the pre-production and production challenges of developing a QuickTime VR title. We encourage you to carefully review your manual and explore the Company Store CD-ROM in conjunction with this video to fully understand how to create QuickTime VR. Each panorama you see here was carefully planned and shot to create a scene where the user can travel smoothly around the store. The store was first scouted to create an accurate floor plan and to determine what type of lighting and film would be required. After the initial floor plan was created, we returned to the location to determine the exact node positions. A storyboard for each scene is helpful, particularly if you will not be able to return to the location before shooting, or if the scene has many nodes. A quick method for creating a storyboard is to take an instant photo, such as a Polaroid, showing the most important view from that node location. Scene planning is described in detail in your manual, which you should refer to before planning a shoot. The first step in scene planning is to determine which nodes will be the key nodes. A key node may be the point where 2 pathways intersect, or in front of an object of great interest, such as a new product in a retail scene. All remaining nodes are spaced evenly between these key nodes to create a smooth transition between nodes and to maintain orientation in the virtual reality experience. The nodes in a multi-node scene should be spaced evenly. In a confined space, like the company store, you would want the nodes placed close together, 4 to 7 feet apart. In an expansive space, you might place nodes 10 to 20 feet apart. Practice and experience will guide you in determining what is the optimal distance between nodes for your production. Each additional node increases the costs associated with photographing, scanning, and authoring those nodes. Here, 4 nodes locations are being measured and marked. You should carefully mark and measure each node location in relation to the key nodes. Leave an inconspicuous floor marking, such as a sticker, for each node. Designating and marking a large number of nodes can require a significant amount of time. In the case of the company store, several hours. When practical, mark your scenes the day before the shoot to avoid delays when shooting. The production reference binder should include the floor plan with each node numbered and a slate page for each node with large fonts. The series of pictures you take for each node must be created in a very consistent manner. The reward for following these procedures is that you will get it right the first time and avoid costly delays and reshoots. There are 4 main objectives to keep in mind when shooting. The entire rig should be level at all times. There must be an overlap between images in a panorama. The nodal point of the lens should be directly over the point of rotation of the rig. And finally, maintain consistency between images in a panorama. You can achieve consistency by using similar exposure, fixed focus, and by freezing the scene prior to shooting. We will cover each of these points in detail. The equipment we recommend for shooting QuickTime VR panoramas will help you to meet those objectives. The gear is available at most professional camera stores. Your QuickTime VR manual suggests specific brands and part numbers to create your own rig under the index heading Equipment Requirements. The tripod displayed here has the essential features you will need in a tripod. It is sturdy, with an easy-to-use pan-tilt head and clearly visible levels. A tripod dolly may be helpful, depending upon your shooting location. Although any camera can be used, a 35mm camera with a wide-angle lens, auto-wind, and a remote shutter release is preferable. A super wide-angle 15mm lens is used here. Keep in mind that using a longer lens, for example a 28mm rather than a 15mm, will increase the number of images needed to create a panorama, and processing the additional images will require greater time and expense. In addition, a longer lens will reduce the vertical panning range. The longer lens has a key benefit for some applications, though. It may be a better choice for panoramas with distant objects of interest, such as this outdoor view. For most photographers, the complete 360-degree panorama, as well as the extended vertical field of view made possible by QuickTime VR, are new and exciting options. These new options also require that your rig is set up correctly. The rig here is designed so that you can make independent pan and tilt adjustments. Note that the camera is mounted on the L bracket in portrait mode. Shooting in portrait mode gives the user greater vertical field of view, and thus more flexibility to pan up and down. When setting up the rig, the most efficient approach is to do a rough pass of adjusting and leveling, then a fine-tuning check of all the components. First, extend the legs of the tripod to the appropriate length. Mount the second pan tilt head, the twin camera plate, the L bracket, and the slider plate base. Attach the slider plate to the camera and slide the camera onto the rig. Once you have the rig set up, you need to level the bottom pan tilt head, checking carefully that both of its levels are centered exactly. Then, level the top pan tilt head in the same manner. Adjust the L bracket back and forth so that the center of the lens is above the pivot point. Gently tilt the camera back and forth. And check the flash bracket level to ensure that the camera is mounted properly on the L bracket. You then need to adjust the camera itself to ensure that the nodal point of the lens is over the point of rotation. To check whether the lens is in the proper location, look through the viewfinder at two vertical lines in the scene, one close and one far away, and check to see if when you pan the camera, the farther object appears to be moving. Here, the lens is not aligned correctly. Continue to adjust the camera until this illusion of movement has been eliminated. In this example, the lens is aligned correctly, and it is directly above the pivot point. The last step in leveling is to rotate the camera to ensure that the two levels attached to the flash bracket remain exactly level throughout the rotation. If the bubbles move off-center while rotating, recheck and readjust your rig. Just before shooting, you should do a final check from the bottom pan tilt head to the camera, in case anything moved when tightening. It is very important that once you have completed this check, the tripod is not adjusted or disturbed, and the camera remains exactly level until you are ready to move to the next node. The final result of the individual images you take will be a single, seamless image, a complete 360-degree panorama. To create this panorama, the stitcher warps the images together, blending the overlap area between images pixel by pixel. Consistency is critical. Each image in a panorama should be shot using consistent exposure, focal setting, and camera height. The objective for exposure is to get consistent results for all of the images in a panorama. We recommend two possible approaches to exposure. The simplest method is to use the aperture priority setting on your camera. A second option is to shoot manually. Experienced photographers may prefer to shoot manually, using an incident light meter to determine an average exposure setting for shooting a panorama. You will get more consistent results by shooting manually. Shooting several takes with different exposures will help to obtain the best results. When you scout your location, you should determine what type of lighting and film you anticipate using. Because each location is unique, we will not cover lighting techniques, but keep in mind that shooting complete panoramas provides unusual challenges. If you can, take advantage of existing lighting. Try to create balanced lighting by either reducing or increasing individual light sources. In the case of the company store, there were 3 potential light sources. sunlight, fluorescent, and tungsten light. There were a number of possible options to create balanced lighting for the scene. The best and most cost-effective solution was to shoot the store at night and to use gels to balance the fluorescent lights to tungsten. We will follow a series of steps in shooting panoramas designed to keep images organized. If you make a mistake while shooting, remove that roll of film, mark the canister as an error, and start with a new roll of film. The cost of a roll of film is relatively small in comparison to your time and any increased production costs. When you are ready to shoot, set your exposure and focus. Here we are using an incident light meter and setting the exposure manually. Your first image should be a slate shot using your production reference binder. The slate should be clear and easy to read so that you can refer to that node on the film and on the photo CD. To begin shooting a panorama, first set the degree marker to 0 for the first shot. We are using a 15mm lens, so we will take an image every 30 degrees. As you move around the tripod, be aware of any shadows you may cast or reflections created by shiny surfaces that may show the rig or yourself. To assist you in keeping your images organized, shoot only one node location per roll of film. When done shooting the roll, rewind the film and mark the node number on the canister. You are now ready to move to the next numbered node on your floor plan. Line the center of the tripod with the floor marker. If you adjusted the rig properly for the first panorama, you should only have to adjust the bottom pan tilt head. Once level, you are ready to shoot your next node. This same process is repeated until all of the nodes are shot for a scene.
You're now ready to shoot your own panoramas. In many cases, you'll be the first to photograph a natural wonder or landmark for QuickTime VR. There are many exciting opportunities ahead, so good luck.